Can XRP go to zero? This question has been flying around a little bit recently after everything that's been going on with the Terra Luna ecosystem. So in this video, I'm going to kind of go through my thoughts and opinions on whether XRP can go to zero and, the latest news and obviously technical analysis on XRP. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe? Tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you have not yet joined us in Discord, links in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find on down there. Okay, let's waste no more time. Let's jump on down into the desktop and take a look at XRP in a little bit more detail. Okay, so the first thing that I kind of want to take a look at is actually, before I jump into the technicals, really kind of take a look at that question, right? Can XRP go to zero? So technically speaking, yes, it can. Okay, there is not a single cryptocurrency that could not go to zero. Technically speaking, it's a number that it can go down to. It's just whether or not that's actually likely. Is it probable? Is it actually going to happen, right? And for the most part, most people would have said Terra Luna is not going to go down to zero, right? It's very unlikely. And I would have said it's incredibly unlikely that Luna was going to go to zero. However, these things can happen. So we should always have that part of our brain that is basically saying it is possible that it goes down to zero. On that note, though, I do not think, in the same way I didn't think that Luna would go to zero, I do not think XRP will go to zero. Now, this particular question has come up a couple of times recently just because everything that's been going on with Terra, right, in the ecosystem, Luna going down to zero, and obviously UST losing its peg and is just kind of destroyed people, right? Retail investors have just lost absolute fortunes, and so have some institutions as well, right? So it's important that we understand that there's a lot of fear in the space that's kind of helping compound this particular question. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing that XRP has in the background is obviously the SEC versus Ripple, right? That lawsuit is also compounding that fear. People who may be not so familiar with the case of the ins and the outs of what's going on there might be thinking, well, if the SEC called it security, XRP is going to zero. That's that done, right? And that isn't necessarily true either. It's important that we actually understand what happens under these kind of circumstances and what that might mean going further forward, right? Essentially, the US is a very, very small slice of Ripple's business, okay? And I'm going to go through 6 articles today that actually kind of go through the lawsuit and the business of Ripple, right? And we're going to go through some of that stuff. So hopefully by the end of this video, you understand that, yes, it is possible to go to zero with XRP, but it's incredibly unlikely, but of course, we have to have that part of our brain that says it is possible, okay? So on that note, we kind of know what's compounding the issue. We know that there's a lot of fear in the space, specifically around stable coins. And, even if something like Luna can go to zero, then something like XRP could go to zero too, right? It basically compounds this fear. And this fear is being utilized by whales in the space to just accumulate, right? And it's a compounding issue, right? And I think a lot of retail investors are being shaken out of the market completely, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start things off just by taking a look at the technical analysis here on XRP with my short-term and slightly longer-term vision, right? And when I say longer-term, I mean, by the time we actually get to the bottom of this corrective phase that we're in, and then obviously the reversal from there, okay? So as you can see here, we've got this ABC structure going up, right? We've had the B wave come down here. Again, nothing unusual about that, and we've moved on up quite nicely since. This actually is targeting out about 54.9 cent. Now, obviously, there's areas on here that we have got major resistance on, so we should be thinking, there's a probability here of maybe only creating a double top at 46.59, for example. But for the most common areas that we would normally be looking at, it would be 54.9 as a 1-to-1 ratio. So the length of this A wave should equal the length of the C wave on the 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, so that's the short time view. Now, obviously, I'm saying that that's kind of where I'm expecting it to go, but these C waves, there can be falling short, and there's a lot of resistance, right? So thinking about 51.24, for example, is an area to think about as the same time as 46.59, right? So as long as we understand that, and we're oversold here, so we're looking for that next move up, right? The 4-hourly chart is overbought, and of course we are talking about potentially coming down quite low, significantly lower than maybe many people are potentially thinking, right? So 17 cent is an area that we've been at before, right? If I can shoot this back far enough, you can see over here, for example, this is the low point when the lawsuit was dropped, right? So Clayton basically dropped the lawsuit on Ripple, and basically billions of dollars fled out of XRP through fear, and you can kind of see that right here. We bottomed out at about 17 cents. So it's possible that we create a double bottom at 17 cent with our E wave dropping down lower here, okay? Now the move to 54 cent would support a move down to 17.9 approximately, okay, on a 1-to-1 kind of ratio there. So we should be open to the idea that there's a little bit more downside to be had here with XRP in this unpredictable and volatile E wave, okay? As I come up into our larger time frame, of course, this is a B wave triangular wedge, and if we do come down into this low range, then it will obviously have an impact on the higher range of our C wave move going up higher. And again, we could end up with something significantly higher than this if it ends up being a 3-3-5 structure, or if we get an impulsive structure coming on out of here, for example. So keep an eye on that. But essentially, for the most part, and when it comes to XRP, and there's the ability to come down as low as 17 cent. I think that's very unlikely, but it's a possibility, so we should be open to the idea of it, and hopefully we can avoid it if possible, okay? Obviously, the internal wave counts are the most important thing here. This is just a bit of an indication as a representation of what might happen if Bitcoin were to go down to the $22,000 range, as per my Bitcoin video this morning, okay? So you can check that one out. Okay, so that's kind of giving you an idea, right? We're looking to push up, and then we're looking to pull back down, right? And I know I usually get crucified on these kind of TA videos because people say, oh, it can go up or it can go down. And, well, yeah, it's going to go up, then it's going to go down. That's kind of how these things work. Nothing moves in straight lines, right? Well, the corrective pattern is a downward move, and we're going to have to bounce up before we can go down further. It's just the way that the market works. Understand these things. So essentially, yeah, that's looking pretty good from a technical point. So let's jump on over into the first piece then. So I'm kind of talking about Ripple themselves. They're very well positioned, and the first bit of news that I really came across this morning was that Ripple are investing $100 million into combating climate change, and this is something that China is really big on as well. We see this with VeChain from the Singapore location. They're really kind of pushing, trying to be carbon neutral and all that kind of stuff. So it's good to see that Ripple are also investing in that future as well, right, to fight climate change. Now, I'm not going to read the entire thing. I will link this into the description for you guys if you wanted to take a look at it. You can down there as well. But the other thing that I really wanted to kind of point out is, despite the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, Ripple's business is thriving outside of the US, right? The lawsuit only hurts the US. So it's important that we understand that it's very unlikely, okay, and I say this with just like pure logic, it's incredibly unlikely that the US are going to say that XRP, as of today, is a security, okay? It's incredibly unlikely, in my opinion, okay? I think it's going to be really hard to kind of push that narrative and to confirm that it is something that it isn't, okay? Nowhere else in the world do we acknowledge that XRP is a security. Here in the UK, it's an exchange token, as in you can exchange value across using XRP. In many other countries, it is not classed as security. It's some kind of currency or is a unit of exchange. So it's important that we understand that the US, in doing this lawsuit, if they were to classify it as a security, essentially are only really hurting themselves long term. So it's a short-term vision, a bit of a money grab, in my opinion, and pretty much, for the most part, it feels like it's just a bit of a money grab, trying to maybe have something to do with the escrowed amount of XRP and all that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, this piece of news here is basically that Ripple has, or Ripple is to set up a new ODL corridor between the EU and Mexico via a new partnership. Again, I'm not going to read the entire thing, but this is a common theme that we've seen pretty much since late 2020. There's a couple of companies that were distancing themselves, but for the most part, business has been thriving for Ripple, and it's been thriving outside of the US. And as I said, right, it's only really going to be hurting the US if they decide to classify it as a security going forward, which I don't think they can get the justification for it. And of course, there's the bigger issues that if they somehow manage to do that and XRP gets classified as a security and the SEC win, that's pretty much a downer on the entire crypto space, right? This case with Ripple, if I can get my words out, with Ripple, will be utilized as a precedent for future cases. And if you think otherwise, that's a very incredibly foolish stance. Ultimately, this case, if the SEC were to win it, would be used and thrown at any other cryptocurrency out there that they have their targets set on. Okay, so they could easily go up to anyone else and use this case as precedent. Okay, so it's really important that Ripple win this one or come to a decent terms of settlement where this cannot then be used going further forward. Obviously, I'm not a lawyer. I'm also not a financial advisor. So, take this as kind of, an amateur's approach to it. There are people who would know this a lot better than I would. But essentially, that if you think through the logic of it, it is very, very dangerous for the SEC to win such a case like this. So let's hope that Ripple can pull this one out of the bag, and the SEC take a big fat L, right? Essentially, that's kind of what we want. Not for the case of XRP. It doesn't matter if you pro XRP or not. It essentially is very, very important for the entire crypto space, right? Very, very important. So business is thriving for Ripple, right? And this is kind of ongoing, and it's great to see a corridor between the EU and Mexico. So as we move on, we can see that the XRP ledger pathfinding demo is finally revealed as well. So again, some fantastic kind of stuff going on here. And again, I'll link this into the description. I won't do it justice in this video, specifically when we're on a bit of a time schedule to kind of get through several different things here. But this is a great step forward. So you're going to want to get up to speed with how the XRPL is working. XRPL has many, many links across the world, and many different financial institutions as well who are looking at the XRPL or other kind of hyperledgers and so forth for CBDC structure and all sorts of different things, right? So worth getting your head around it if you do not already know. There's a lot of, unfortunately, misinformation about how the XRPL works. So it's something that you probably want to spend a day just deep diving into and really getting a good grasp over how it all kind of comes together and the importance of this and the kind of what this means going further forward. So I'll link this in the description below. If you're not familiar with the XRPL and you're really pro XRP, and that's got to be up on your high priority list. Figure that out because it's really, really important. Okay, moving on. We covered this one a few days ago, but basically another motion to extend the time granted. SEC's reply on emails was on Monday 18th, right? So that's just Monday just gone. Now, the extension on time, I don't think it's actually too bad. Considering the current climate of the crypto market, right? We can acknowledge, of course, that the lawsuit has significantly damaged the progress that XRP should have made in 2021. It's pretty obvious, it's hard to argue. I know people are trying, and we even see it in the case itself of how it has performed in line with the rest of the crypto market, and no damages have been done by the SEC and all that kind of stuff. And I think it all depends on the lens that you look through. Now, if you were to take, for example, XRP and compare it to something like, I don't know, let's say Algorand, you're going to find similar kind of levels of percentage growth with the rest of the crypto space. However, if you were to take XRP and pair it up with, let's say, Harmony One or VeChain or Matic or anything, pretty much many of the other ones, right? If you're looking at pretty much most cryptocurrencies in the top kind of 100, and you can cherry pick out a handful of them that haven't performed necessarily brilliantly. XRP is right up there, right? And it's at the lower end of the spectrum, right? It's definitely below average, which is the kind of way you might want to kind of look at it from that kind of perspective, right? Billions of dollars were wiped out off of the market cap of XRP. Now, essentially, market cap isn't anything more than circulating supply multiplied by the last sold price, right? So we know that market cap actually means absolutely nothing when it comes to price. When I say price discovery, okay, it has absolutely everything to do with price, nothing to do with value. So if we were to think about market cap, yes, billions of dollars were wiped off of the market cap of XRP. However, it's more important to actually focus in on the supply shift that occurred and the demand that came in. Okay, there was an increase demand for selling, okay, and that basically meant that exchanges were loaded up with surplus supplies of XRP, and as a result of that, the price came down very, very rapidly. Okay, so billions of dollars were wiped out of off of the market cap, but market cap was never a representation of liquidity. It was not a representation of the amount of money in the space. Okay, so seeing an extension like this and knowing that we've significantly underperformed and that we're in a very bearish time right now, an extension actually isn't too bad because it does put us at potentially the right time frame for a absolutely insane run on XRP should we have some kind of closure on this case. Okay, so although the extension is there, I don't think that's necessarily bad considering everything that's going on here with crypto at the moment. Okay, so we'll keep that in mind. And the next one I want to kind of talk about is basically how the SEC and Ripple basically they reach a deadlock, like the parties are reaching a deadlock. Ripple defendants basically are asking the court to approve scheduling. So again, the SEC are doing their best to drag their feet and all of that kind of stuff. Parties are in a fight regarding the SEC's responses to the defendants' fourth set of requests for admission. Defendants will file a motion to compel and have proposed a briefing schedule to the court. The specific dispute is not identified, blah, blah, blah. So I'll link this in the description below as well. It's worth just getting our heads around, what's going on there. But ultimately, I see the SEC doing a lot of delay tactics, thinking that's actually hurting Ripple's business, when essentially it really isn't. We've already established that business is thriving for Ripple. If anything, this is actually hurting the retail investors and, investors in XRP. So there could be other alternative motives behind that. We do not know. But now we're going to go on to the juicy stuff. Okay, and the juicy stuff is this one right here. Okay, regulator submits a new reply to protect the Hinman-related documents. Surprise, surprise. So there's clearly something in there that that is damning, right? It's going to be sufficiently damning that they are jumping through whatever hoops they can to prevent the handover of these documents over to Ripple. Basically, the SEC does its best to protect Hinman's emails, right? So the SEC has again admitted to basically, Judge Netburn that emails written by William Hinman should not be produced in court at the constant demand of Ripple's legal team. They insist that these emails are protected by attorney-client privilege. The letter filed by the SEC attorneys stated that Director Hinman, according to the court's previous ruling, presented his personal views but did not give the speech to which the emails are related in his personal capacity. So again, right, you've got a couple of conflicts here. And most of us are going to be familiar with this. It's just pure logic, really. If it is personal views, then it shouldn't be client confidential, right? It's not protected in any way if it's your personal views. However, if it's your personal views that then you're using in a professional capacity, then of course it is, but then it's not his personal views. It has to be his professional views. So which one is it? Make a goddamn decision. It's not that hard. If you're going to say that it was his professional opinion and he's basically given this speech in a professional capacity, then in which case, sure, the client privileges they apply, right? And those privileges should be put in there, attorney-client privileges, they should uphold. But in that capacity, then basically Hinman is saying that it's okay that, Bitcoin and Ether are not securities, in which case you can then draw parallels on those to XRP, for example. So they've kind of got themselves stuck into a bit of a sticky situation here. One, it's his personal views and they have to be delivered in a personal capacity, okay? And if they were not, then they were delivered in a professional capacity and professional views. Either way, it's not looking good for the SEC if you really break it down logically. One, they're going to not have that client attorney privilege applied to personal thoughts and opinions delivered in a personal way, or it applies, but they've got to then have the ability to basically say that XRP isn't too dissimilar to Ether. And if Ether is not a security, then XRP should not be a security either. So really interesting to kind of see these things, how this is all going to unfold. I can't believe this is still going on after such a significant period of time. But there you go. There's something in those emails that the SEC just simply does not want to hand over to the Ripple. And I imagine that is going to be a nail in the coffin, potentially even the final one, if those emails do actually make it over to Ripple. You do not jump through this many hoops and defy the call on numerous occasions to prevent the handover of these documents unless there is something very, very sinister in there. So guys, I am going to leave the video there. If you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. And if you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.